kabilang kalye? Nagtitinda na rin kayo, Manong? Ang notebook.
Sunod na taon, pati menu nadagdagan.
Nax, may squid balls na.
With FIT losing most of their League of Legends PC veterans from last season, they were still able to power through Summoner's Rift with their wit and
For the
tenacity.
side, the Kali tried to go for the pressure again.
That's gonna be a big one right there. Guys, it's gonna be coming in. Kick is gonna be on to Krep. Krep will have to run.
Looking shaky but still standing strong, the smart moves and combos of TUP made them one of the biggest favorites this season.
Gone in shadow, but somebody's one out forward again. Prevent the rise in corner 2. Oh, the slicing measure hits. It is to be a free kill. And naman doon sila goes. Nice position here for the backline.
WVSU's Leviathans carry the banner of the League of Legends capital of the Philippines as the last remaining Ilonggo team in the
The flag
tournament.
has been planted. They just need to drag the encore. Would he be able to hit anybody? Cataclysm on to 2. Was able to hit, but not enough to do anything. Bello is just having a better time here. The dragon has fallen down.
PNU were the favorites to take it all last season, but fell short in the semis. The Wild Beasts core are back and better than ever.
Yeah, here comes the flank and here comes the slicing. Milton, the damage just came through, and that is it. From the member saying might be able to take more.
He's looking for more. Here comes the Crescent Guard for that knockback.
Even with one of their star players next sitting out this season, the defending champions are still strong contenders for the campus tour.
Waiting for it. Here comes the Heroes Emblem onto the back line to do some damage, and that's going to be an Ocean take on the side. How Valiant Esports, but there's a lot of damage going through, and this is going to be it for How Valiant Esports.
Speaking of aggressive, PUP's Cerberus Ultimate made a statement for their UAC debut led by their Zero Death Queen.
Effort, they take this to 5v4. There is not here, and got the grand entrance of the tree, and that's very big. The Absolute Zero won't be able to do anything. Yes, a 5-man moonfall, and the damage comes through there. Is here for the cleanup. Ulshiro is now going to be the last target. Aggressive was so good during that fight.
Catch the BEST in the playoffs of the University Alliance Cup Season 3 Wild Rift this Sunday, November 28th.
And good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and our non-binary friends. This is the University Alliance Cup Season 3 Wild Rift, and today we're going to get into the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and we'll be your shoutcasters for the first half of this broadcast. I'm Hiron. With me is, of course, GG, Giyang Gaming. How are we doing today on this very exciting Sunday?
Actually, I'm really excited for this series. I mean, WVSU versus PNU.
Mhm.
It's kind of like David versus Goliath in
In a
a
way, yeah.
sense. Yeah. Because for PNU, they kind of struggled over the group stages. They had some wins and some losses. And they're looking actually to try and defeat this Titan right now, WVSU, which had kind of like a 4-1 score during the group stages, looking to make their way towards the semifinals to challenge HAU. Meanwhile, for PNU, they kind of want to get the revenge on that team as well, given the fact that they are trying to prove themselves that they can actually take on the big teams here in this league today.
Yeah, I mean, it's two-pronged, right, for PNU. One, they want to proceed to the semifinals in order to get revenge against How. That was one of their losses in the group stage, in the best-of-1 group stage round robin. So they want to get some revenge in the best-of-3 match, which is all of the matches we're going to have today are best-of-3. So maybe they'll be able to face off against How. The other loss that they incurred during the group stage was against FIT Tech Mayhem, which is standing on the other side of our quarterfinals later today, after this best-of-3, right? So for WVSU, we always know that Iloilo is a powerhouse when it comes to esports, mobile gaming, and of course Wild Rift are no different. And here they're going to be, as you said, trying to prove their dominance here. I believe WVSU's only loss was against UST Teletigers in the group stage. So there's no UST here in the
more
playoffs.
kryptonite.
So no kryptonite for them, but they'll still have to prove themselves because everything else has been a best-of-1. This is going to be a best-of-3. So looking at it, they have pretty similar game times. They're, of course, a lot longer for PNU. And but in terms of the draft, it is pretty much similar. They like going for those all-in comps as well, but PNU Sula does favor the Kaisa, which needs more time to scale. Meanwhile, WVSU is satisfied with Ezreal and Corki, sometimes even bringing out the Yasuo Alistar Dragon Lane as well.
Actually, for teams like these, at this point, because teams normally have a priority on early snowballing. That's why I like what we're seeing right now, because we can actually conclude that most of the teams like to balance it out, scaling as well towards the late game to have that late game insurance, whether or not they're gonna be having a good performance during the early game, because not all the time you get the objectives that you want, and you want to have a little bit of insurance or backup strategy towards the later stages of the game, just in case some of your early plans doesn't pan out well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I like snowballing, right? Alistar, Yasuo, just go in there, get those team fights after level 5. Meanwhile, Bardagulan natin, number 2 point kanina, scaling versus all in snowball. This time, who's giving how their first loss this season? I'm gonna have to vote that the Leviathans are gonna be the most likely to do this. I mean, this is pretty much predicting who's gonna win this quarterfinals, right?
Uh-huh. Well, since you voted for WVSU, I'm gonna stick with PNU at this
Mm-hmm.
point. I love underdog stories. I like
Yes.
the possible revenge that they want to have against HAU, and
Mhm.
also the challenge that they are facing right now against WVSU. Which, in fact, if we're gonna be kind of um, sticking to what's most likely to happen, it is definitely WVSU. But I like surprises. I want PNU to surprise us today.
As for our future grand finals matchup, we have 6 teams here. Of course, I think I'm gonna have to stick to my predictions earlier, but I think it's going to be How versus PUP most likely. I think that's for me. PUP has such a good showing, not just in Wild Rift but overall and collegiate so far. So they've been building up that a pile on esport. They've been building it up so much, and I think they can face off against the giants of the Holy Angel University Valiant Esports. Right, they have a lot of potential. Their roster is very versatile. A lot of role switches every few matches. So I'm really excited to see How versus PUP. But we've still got a lot to go before we get there. What about you, GG?
I, Actually, on that point, I kind of agree on your standpoint, because they're the teams that are actually kind of stable in a sense, and that's most probably what the other viewers and supporters are looking forward to at the grand finals. But here, during the quarterfinals, we're gonna see right now, based on what our initial thoughts are and analysis, can PNU actually stand against WVSU? It all starts in the drafting phase, the pick and bans, which is gonna happen right now.
Yeah, Caitlyn and Jace are enabled, but I'm actually not sure if our players have had enough time to, practice with those champions as well. Because obviously Caitlyn is pretty different from other marksmen that we've seen. I mean, of course, Caitlyn is a very simple kit, but the playstyle from Kaisa is different. Even Tristana is different, even though they both have high ranges later. And Jace does have a high mechanical skill floor even in Wild Rift. So we'll see. Of course, the Akshan banned immediately here against the Leviathans here, which is not something that they've used before, but that does mean that PNU Sula is doing their homework.
Yeah. Actually, having the action banned as well as the Fiora states that maybe WVSU are going to be looking forward to have a scaling composition, maybe something that can actually strive in the later stages of the game, but they don't want to allow PNU to actually have a little bit of an advantage in terms of the early game. But I'm liking this pick, the Twisted Fate,
Yeah.
which has that global presence. I'm not gonna be surprised if we're gonna be seeing something like a Senna to take that double global, since the Galio and the Ziggs have been taken away already.
I like it. They ban out the Galio, so now they have a monopoly of global presence, unless Sula picks up something like a Senna. But even then, it's not the global presence is more of like, here's a heal or here's some extra damage
Mhm.
instead of an actual presence of a champion like Galio or TF. At medyo pangit ka bonding ang Sulo dito dahil binan nila yung Alistar na paborito ko.
Aw.
Yeah, I was
Well, mine's
hoping,
still
okay, yeah.
available.
Yeah, yeah,
Senna
your
still.
Senna is still available, but the meta for UAC, they don't really favor the Senna as much. Like that, we usually see that in higher levels of play from big organizations. So I'm hoping that we'll see that later in the playoffs. But for now, Riven here picked up for PNU Sulo. Most likely, this is just going to go to their their Baron laner here. Though I can see Blasphemy bringing it out sometime as well, since both of them do have a history of using the champion. And meanwhile, Nami Tristana, this is pretty much classic Telo Ed Dragon Lane.
Mm-hmm. And I like the confidence that we're seeing on the side of WVSU. I mean, knowing that PNU are gonna be sticking with an aggressive lineup, they're gonna fight fire with fire here. So we can safely assume that we are gonna be seeing so much action in this game, possibly a lot of casualties on both sides. It's gonna be a battle of skill at this point. Having the Oriana locked in as their third pick, I'm looking forward to seeing some respect bans in this second banning phase.
And yeah, a lot of respect bans as well. So if we look at it, we still have the jungler and the Baron laner here for Leviathans. Could be banning out something like the J4, the Shinzao here. Okay, the Renekton from Joe as well is something that's been a constant presence. Usually when it's Joe playing Baron lane instead of Miracle, who is subbing in usually, it will be the Renekton pickup, which gives him a pretty solid early game as well. The Kaisa, of course, being banned out against Z-Maze. That's one of his favorites. Zaya still left open. Let's see if they'll ban it here.
Yeah, and then having the Rakan being picked up, it's kind of most likely to be picked if ever, they don't ban that out, because Kaisa's already taken away. And given the fact that most teams actually want to have that late game insurance, despite the early game advantage that they can actually have, Zaya pick doesn't sound so bad, but they're gonna stick with the Corki ban. Not so bad.
Ban here. So Zaya is left open here, and with of course the natural combo of the Rakan, and of course there's so much area control, right? You have the ball from Oriana, and you have the feathers from from setting up the Blade Caller after the Feather Storm. But if they pick up the Caitlyn here, it's actually not so bad. I was expecting it was possible, right? They don't really fulfill the exact same role, but in lane, I do think that Caitlyn is a little bit safer as well. Especially pre-level 5, which is when a lot of ganks happen, but Zaya is the more natural choice.
Yeah, knowing that WVSU might actually opt for an engaged composition, the Zaya has been a safe pick here on the side of PNU. If ever they pick up the Caitlyn, although the kit of Caitlyn actually helps them, especially from the engage of this Tristana, Zaya, because of the Featherstorm, can actually allow her to escape from those initiations, especially that the final two picks here of WVSU are Pantheon and Darius. One of the strongest front lines.
And they want that monopoly talaga on global presence. No, you have, of course, the man drop. You've got the Grand Starfall. You've got the Destiny as well. So I'm expecting a lot of 4v2s, 4v3s happening in the Dragon lane, or just straight up dives going into mid game as well. So I like the draft here from Leviathans. They do have a lot of early game presence with a Pantheon and of course a Darius, if it's not, pag hindi siya binuli in lane. Yeah. They also have late game insurance in the form of Telo here. So I'm liking it. Meanwhile, Sulo, they want a team fight. They want to go in. They have a pretty good ball delivery system as well. And they have Z-Maze, no, not Z-Maze. They do have Rain here on the Singe just to sow terror in the front line, maybe even chase the back line even after a rocket jump.
Yeah. I want to take note though, the global presence given here by WVSU. It's gonna be a big threat in terms of the side lanes for sure. Given the fact that the enemy team wants to actually scale up in the early games, particularly that they have a Zaya Rakan. They might struggle in the early game, especially when they want to actually have that priority over the Dragon. I think that is something that WVSU will take note of in this game, given the fact that Darius, despite the cinch matchup, can actually survive those damages unless he gets targeted by by all three members of PNU, Riven, Oriana, and Zaya. It's gonna be hard for. It's gonna be a challenge for them to actually take down Miracle at this point.
Yeah, it would be a miracle if pardon the
Oh.
pun. But for the most part, I don't think Milen would be roaming too much. He does do that a lot when he's on Fizz, when he's on Ari, when he's on Galio. But on Oriana, usually he just wants to uh, be opportunistic, right? If there's a way for him to push, shove in the lane, and then roam, he will do it. But against the TF here, I think King will, of course, will have that advantage here. Bago pa lang makapunta si Milen sa Baron lane, nandun na silang tatlo, nina King, Mac, and Joe, right? So that's gonna be one big hurdle for the early game as well. But we have loaded onto the Wild Rift here for our quarterfinals best of 3 game 1. West Visayas State University Leviathans versus PNU Sulo coming at ya.
Yeah. Oh, we already saw the early rotations coming in from WVSU, trying to get a cheese onto the red side jungle of PNU. Nice prediction here by Tello. You know, after placing that ward, knowing that Flacco might actually try and go for that sneaky damage with the grand entrance. So overall in this state, this is gonna be favorable for both teams actually. Not much punish gonna happen. Only just standard laning phase for now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, no, it's a best of 3, right? So you want to maintain momentum. You don't want to risk going into a weird level 1 where, because either of these teams, if it becomes a level 1 like scuffle, like 3v3, 4v4, it can go either way, right? If Miracle stacks up his hemorrhages, then WVSU probably wins the level 1. If PNU Solo Blasphemy is able to get like a full animation cancel combo, then of course PNU has a higher chance of winning there. So they don't want to risk that. They just want to, okay, put down some vision. If you look at the Tribrush Dragon lane natin, and around the red buff side of PNU Sulo, there's 2 wards from one from each side here. So they do have an idea of where the junglers will be. They're just going to trade the scuttlers here as well. So far, wala masyadong action dito na nangyayari. They're pretty much just waiting for the level 5 power spike dito ng WVSU, and PNU will be preparing for that with their own tools.
Yeah, most probably the first fight is gonna happen during the first objective. If ever PNU are gonna be trying to contest WVSU and taking the Rift Herald, because most likely WVSU are gonna take that. Instead of the Dragon, they want to accelerate the game, enable the other lanes to actually follow through with all those engages. And as we see, a small fight break out in the bottom lane. Tello took a bit more damage than he was supposed to.
Meron namang honeypot dito. So of course, Ed with the heals is going to be able to get the ebb and flow going right there. Yeah, I do think trading Infernal Drake for Herald is something that WVS can do. Oh, but going for the man drop here does get the stun. I don't think they're going to have enough damage here, but ooh, very, very close there. Almost getting pulled in there. Does get the shockwave, so that's one cooldown that's not going to be available for the next. Oh, but here in the bot lane here, double bubble stops the momentum of that gang, and here comes King as well. Featherstorm into the Blade Caller does mean that there's some stuns coming in. Blasphemy picks up the kill for his squad. Feathers stabbing in the back of King as well. And the Featherstorm actually was not yet used, but in comes the Pantheon here. Double knockup coming in from the grand entrance here as well. But Joe trying to get that last kill, does get it, but Flacco is able to finish him off. So supports are the only ones surviving after all of that carnage, but it ends up as 2 for 3 in a small favor to PNU Sulo.
Yeah, and it started with a gank in the bottom lane, followed up by a Destiny coming in here by King. However, the Feathers, that's why Saya has been a threat on those engaged champions. We talked about it during the draft that maybe they should have banned it, and this is one of the reasons why. That snare turned into those 3-for-2 trade, heavily in favor of PNU. And right now, this is kind of like something that will up their momentum in this game.
Very, very small though. If you look at it, the gold actually manifests just mostly in the marksman role here. IE already complete from Xavier, so yeah, that should give them a very good advantage here on the Infernal Drake. Well, the Leviathans, it does seem like they want to contest this, but they're very wary, right? Right now, they want to kind of pad the stat difference by getting some pokes out with the javelin here. In comes the apprehend here with a tidal wave here, immediately bursting down Milan. No chance for him to get through. Miracle looking for more guillotines coming through. The bleed will catch one last member. Flacco goes down, and that is going to be 2 members for PNU Sulo. Like I said, they're wary of the IE, but if they can get the first strike, then they will have a big advantage. Miracle able to bring out the damage in that situation. 2-0 plus Infernal Drake, Leviathans. They can keep building and riding this momentum.
And the timing was perfect. I mean, PNU, for both Blasphemy and Z-Mice, they don't have their ultis on cooldown ready up. And that was the proper timing that WVSU have been waiting for. The tidal wave into that 3-man knock-up, into the apprehend of a Miracle, immediately getting the kill onto Milan because didn't have time already to cast any of his skills, and that turned into a 2-kill advantage by Miracle, a Dragon transition, and possibly even this Rift Herald contest.
Of course, without the tidal wave, it does seem like PNU has the advantage here, but we have to remember everything. The man drop is still here, the Grand Starfall is still here. That's really the other big impactful ultimate here. So I think WVSU, what they're trying to do is they're trying to pressure the lanes, right? So to force PNU to delay their Rift Herald take. So they got the wards here, they got the Rift Scuttler, but now at this point, the tidal wave will be back online and WVSU will be once again ready to fight. They're actually already starting the Rift Herald. PNU, what are they going to do? Milan's going to play catch-up here all the way from base. So this is going to be the Destiny just to maintain formation here, but it does seem like the Singe trying to make something happen, trying to be the annoying Singe at least. In comes the quickness here, gets knocked up, does get the charm here on the 2 members, get the stun coming through, but it does seem like the fight is split in half. But PNU Sulo, they want to take down Miracle, they want to kill him. Apprehend comes in, Miracle survives and picks up the kill. Grand Entrance only knocks up one. Taylor is able to flash away. Ed next on the chopping block, but the heal will save him now. And that ends up as actually Leviathan's getting a couple kills and surviving with a sliver of HP. PNU not getting what they want there.
Yeah, I mean, WVSU still got the kill, but
the Grand Entrance. Oh, no way for them to get the play caller right there. In comes Joe from downtown. Yo, Mama's here. At papagalitan niya, may dalang chancla dito. And that's gonna be the Rift Herald immediately pivoting from 3 kills into this mid lane. This is going to be big pivot, a big swing here for Leviathan. Let's check this replay.
It started with a good initiation coming in from PNU, but that slight miscalculation, having Miracle stay alive and an overextension comes in afterwards, being punished by the Grand Starfall of Joe, resulting to that triple kill into a tier 1 tower take in the mid lane. Bad turns into worst here for PNU after those chain of events.
Yeah, very crucial na nabuhay dun si Miracle because that would have been a lot of gold on the hands of PNU. Very nice apprehend into the combo just to make himself survive for a little bit longer. And because PNU didn't get any kills there, wala silang bawi dun at that point. The Rift Herald was already taken by WVSU, and that is a 5k goal lead for Leviathans. But we talked a little bit about this yesterday in another tournament, how in a comp like this with Darius and Pantheon, 5k is yung bare minimum. Hindi pa sila panalo yan. It's just given. It's already assumed with this comp that you should have a 5k gold lead at like 8 minutes, right? So now it's up to WVSU to, you know, follow through with the swing and go for a 8k, 10k gold lead. Pero at least meron silang insurance dito in the form of Tello and his Tristana.
And since PNU doesn't have Locket just yet, they can't really prevent that much damage coming in from WVSU, which a lot of them are actually AoE. Particularly from King, Miracle, and Tello, especially with Explosive Charge being fully stacked and exploding right into their faces. At this point, with a 6k gold lead, PNU needs to change their pace a little bit. Because at this point, WVSU are going to be trying to, you know, take more advantages given that they have this 6,000 gold lead. Try to take objectives, maybe rotate around the map as they do track them down, especially with the Destiny of King.
Oh, libreng Cloud Break to, no? And I like the way that the WVSU is doing this. They're leveraging their global presence. They don't have to go for full-on fights. They just have to go for things like this. They use the Destiny to threaten the Dragon Lane, isolate this tower. So they get the Drake, they get the tower. That extends their gold lead by 1k. Meron pang split push dito si King dito sa the Baron lane natin. Meanwhile, PNU, they have to play a very positional game, right? Because they have the Orianna, they have the Xayah. So they have to force WVSU to go front to back. But WVSU right now is not giving them that. They're not giving them full team fights. They're giving them map-wide pressure with their, with their global ultis, as well as just the individual strength of their members. Sky
Oh no!
It's gonna be in man drop coming in as well, but Flash Apprehend means that he will be arrested to death here. In comes a two-man knockup here coming in from Flaco. This could salvage the situation at that point, but so much healing coming in. The hemorrhage stacks are real onto ZMAs, and that is going to be a shutdown kill. Big ZMAs gets that. So that is one big thing that PNU gets, but in the end, they still get what they want. Dragon lane side, and they have what it takes to take down the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I mean, the gold funneled into ZMA, so at least there's that positive thing that happened onto PNU, but can they actually contest? They're going in.
Yeah, they're trying to go in here with a Singe, but Singe can only run, and he gets knocked up and stunned. And now isolated member here, Blasphemy has no escape. No matter how many key bursts or shields that he gets, is not going to be happening here in WVSU. 8k gold lead. They've reached the second break point that they need. And with this Rift Herald onto Baron lane here, Jello trying to go aggressive, Assassin Tristana cosplay. But for now, they're reaching that break point that they need, 10k.
Yeah, I mean, for PNU, I think Blasphemy could have just attempted to go for the steal instead of them actually diving head on, because it turned out worse than expected, and they took a lot of casualties in the process.
He's gonna go for the dive here, full on onto Flaco, and he goes down. The turret also next on the chopping block, and WVSU Leviathans taking names, 11k gold lead now. And once again, they're keeping PNU Sula in a situation where they're not going for a 5v5, because that would just be walking into the Featherstorm Blade Caller or the Shockwave, right? So here, they know that each individual member is stronger than PNU Sula, so they're going for 2v2s, 2v2s on two sides of the map, or 1v1s and whatnot. And this is actually doing wonders for Leviathan's win condition.
Wonders and wonders. WVSU having this point of the game wherein they can control everything, including the objective takes. I mean, they already have 2 dragon stacks. They're just waiting for the mountain dragon to come up. Maybe even more as they look to push all 3 lanes. And as for PNU, at this point, you can't really blame them for having these desperate calls to try and respond to the attacks here of WVSU, because they want to get some gold funneled onto ZMAs, which had been the case, but given the 12,000 gold lead of WVSU, it's kind of negligible.
Yeah, and right now all their hopes are on ZMAs right now. Parang Cebu talaga yan, na sa mais talaga ang kapit. Pero yung Leviathans yung taga Visayas dito, so sila yung may advantage. Pero dito yung problema kasi dito is Blasphemy is on the ribbon, very feast or famine champion, right? So here they have the advantage. Immediately kills Milen as well. Flaco comes in, is able to dance out, but here comes the good exhaust here onto the Darius here. Tilo might get killed. He is gonna get picked off with a nice Featherstorm here to try and leverage their power, but Joe coming in and trying to finish on ZMAs here might get punished a little bit. Blasphemy trying to front, maybe find an opportunistic wind slash here, but not finding it. But they do get the second tier turret. They do get the rest of the jungle of the Leviathans, of PNU Solo rather. So that's gonna end up as a 1 for 1, but they lose the turret and they lose their jungle camps.
And we already see the amount of responsibility and pressure ZMAs has in order to deal a lot of damage, because they immediately lost their mid laner, especially from that engage. And as the fight comes through, ZMAs just tried to go in, attacking everyone, avoiding skill shots, and also doing crowd control, and you know,
So
the fight
apprehend
again.
immediately, yeah, hold that thought. That is going to be immediately dead onto King, but the tidal wave gives him a little bit of space here. That is still the Darius, very, very healthy.
Oh!
HP. Oh, it's going to be an immediate kill here onto Z-Maze here. Finding the next target, stun onto Blasphemy. Going to get stunned back with a key burst. Windslash finishes him off, but Tilo is going to pick up this kill unless a good flash from Blasphemy prevents that. 2 for 1. Good gold coming in for PNU Sulo, but they're still 12k gold behind, and with the Mountain Drake up, this could be their chance, but they're a little bit low. They have to back off. They have to deal with the waves. That's just 2 kills for 1.
Yeah, but the fire is still burning in the hearts here for PNU. The only reason why Ziamis died is because of that javelin throw coming in from Joe. That blind spot action coming in. But PNU still got those 2 kills. Even with that gold deficit and Ziamis being taken down, I think there's still a fighting chance left in them, given the fact that they do have that late game insurance. If they can stall this game out, maybe 3-5 minutes more, I think a comeback is possible.
Yeah, definitely. Because the Pantheon and the Darius are going to fall off eventually. And of course, they have the Tristana, which is very good late game. But if you compare it to PNU Sulo, let's assume the game reaches the point where everyone has 5 or 6 items. Then, of course, that means Blasphemy has caught up. That means Rain has caught up with his tankiness. That means Milen's Shockwave's going to be hurting. And Zimi's, his area control is always going to be very useful. It's very, very risky. Tidal wave onto one member. They do dodge up. In comes the Protobell into the apprehend onto Z-Maze here. Meanwhile, Joe trying to find Blasphemy here. Those spear thrusts coming through. Jumps over the wall here. Pivots immediately onto Flaco. Dances away. Goes for the 2-man knockup, but Miracle is coming through with those production guillotines though.
Top lane.
The split push coming onto the Baron lane.
Oh,
trying to
Starfall!
stop the ports here. Trying to stop the backs. In comes Joe to try and intercept, help his friends here, but it seems like the first game, Leviathans with a flourish goes for the feint. They backdoor the Nexus while they were busy with the fight. And Leviathan starting strong with a Game 1 victory in this best-of-3 quarterfinals. Look at that. Konting inom, konting hydrate lang. Pero hindi tayo,
Not
tayo sponsored yan. Hindi tayo
Not sponsored,
yan.
everybody.
Pero stay hydrated, mga kaibigan.
It's just their preference. Just like that kind of play. I mean, stalling that dragon take, Joe even managed to steal that mountain dragon away from them. And because of that buff, they managed to survive a little bit more as well. While their Twisted Fate, while King was split pushing onto the top side, and the moment PNU realizes that their base is falling apart, Joe goes in with the Grand Skyfall, prevents them from going back, and despite them reaching the Twisted Fate, it was already too late. The Nexus was just 2 hits away from disaster, and disaster was made. WVSU with a game number 1.
Kaya napaisip ako, it's like, they're so far ahead. Bakit parang nahihirapan sila sa teamfight? Parang tagal ng teamfight na to. And then I realized, 4 lang sila.
Yup.
And once again, this goes back to what I said earlier na the VVSU Leviathans, they know that individually they're stronger than PNU, right? So they can actually fight an even, quote-unquote, 4v5 habang nagsisplit. So they know where they're strong, right? They know where they're strong. They know that they don't have to go for a 5v5. So they just go for the game-winning play na split push into the Nexus right there. And very, very nice play there from Leviathans. They show a lot of awareness with the power of their comp, the power of their individual players and champions. And PNU, they have to be reeling from that blow.
Yeah, I mean, that's the power of the double global. I mean, Destiny and the Grand Skyfall. If ever things went south for WVSU, King can just come with them using the Destiny, but since things were actually in favor of them, they just went for the game end, and now with this 1-0 score, it puts a lot of pressure onto PNU because that game could have actually been turned around if ever they played it out a little bit more safe.
Best of 3 to, no? So already, the Philippine Normal University squad, their torches are flickering, the light is dimming, their backs are to the wall. Now is the time to reignite and hold that torch high and twist the momentum to their favor. The Leviathans, they are from the abyss, from the depths of the sea, but maybe the torch will light the way. going into this game 2 very, very soon. Wala tayong break dito. Tuloy-tuloy lang tayo hanggang game 3 kung umabot man. And I think we're gonna get into the draft already. Super, super excited for this
No time to
side switch.
recuperate.
Mukhang may side switch tayo dito. So Sulo has the blue side advantage. Leviathans has the red side 1-2 punch.
So there is a possible pick if ever, PNU are gonna opt for prioritizing a specific champion. The most priority right now is actually, champions like the Ziggs, maybe the Riven, maybe the Renekton as
Immediately, yeah.
well. But we're gonna be seeing some of those picks that WVSU had, which made a significant impact because of King Twisted Fate being immediately banned out here by PNU.
So baka Galio yung hanapin dito ng PNU Sulo. Like they ban the TF, they're on blue side, they might
Galio
want to pick up
Senna.
the Galio. Yeah. Galio Senna is possible, pero hindi ko sure kung nilalaro yun ng PNU Sulo. Of course, Camille gonna be banned out here. Pangalawang beses na yan dito sa series na to. But the problem here with PNU Sulo right now, right, is they banned out the TF, which means they have to let something open na hindi nila banan earlier. So what's it gonna be? They still leave the Akshan closed off. So if they don't ban the Fiora, of course, if they ban the Fiora, Alistar's open. And I'm scared of the WVSU Leviathans. Pag binigyan mo sila na Alistar, talaga.
Are you really scared or are you excited to see an
Scared and
Alistar?
excited, you know.
You wanna see
Parang-
the Alistar, I'm sure.
Talagang gagatasin nila yung ano yung Alistar na yan. But of course here, Galio being banned here. Same ban so far. Camille Galio. Let's see if they also ban the Ziggs from blue side here. Very reasonable naman.
So having the Galio being banned away, maybe we're not gonna be seeing a Senna in this game. But the other champions are still available. Renekton, Riven, even Ziggs, if that is
Sure.
going to be prioritized by both teams. The Pantheon here of Joe is still up if ever they're gonna go with it still. But the Fiora will be respected at least by the side of PNU. They don't want that in this game, especially when given to the hands of WVSU.
So mukhang Ziggs nga. Of course, it's a blue side priority pick here. I'm excited. Of course, here for PNU Sulo, they could just go for something relatively safe here. They could go for a Riven. Of course, Irelia is left open, but I'm not sure if Rain has that in his champion pool. Or yeah, Riven's gonna be the... And once again, flex to. It's between Rain and Blasphemy to.
Yeah. So this leaves some of the champions open. Renekton can still be picked up here if ever
Bigyan nyo na
WBS
Alistar. Ano ba yan?
opt up to that.
Pangit ka ba? Hindi, rakan nyo
Wala.
nila akin. But
Mali
this is
mo,
still strong.
Alistar
This is still
top?
strong.
Pinagbigyan ka lang talaga eh, no?
Don't do it. Oh, I
Don't
like this. Okay. Rakan.
Stick to the win condition.
Yeah. Rakan, Tristana, still very, very good. I guess if they're going for the normal Tello plays, no, na they want him to scale up. Siguro hindi naman tugma yung Alistar dun sa win conditions nila dun. Pero tignan lang natin.
I mean, you know what they say, right? Don't fix what is not broken. And since that kind of lineup worked for them wonderfully, they're gonna stick with the Rakan Tristana. But no longer will PNU go for that Zaya. They're just gonna go with this Kaisa instead.
Yeah, nakita na nila na yung Tristana na lock-in, so there's no Saya obviously. So they decide, okay, baka yung Kaisa mas maganda dito kaysa sa ibang pinaplano natin. And they decide, okay, let's not go for the Zaya as well. The Leona though, I really like with the Riven and the Kaisa. Medyo agresibo ang galawan dito ng PNU Sulo sa ating game 2.
It's kind of similar to game number 1, but this time they have more tools to actually initiate for them, particularly because of this Leona pick. But since WVSU still has other options, they're gonna take this Renekton, which is a stable pick for the Baron lane. And now we're gonna be seeing some adjustments. Naturally, Darius is a threat to the Renekton. It can be banned away. But what else can they actually take out of the equation?
Yeah. Kasi last time, second phase ng banning, tinanggal yung Renekton here. And here, I guess, they want to have a very solid solo lane para ma-funnel nila lahat ng resources nila sa Tristana, di ba? Or sa mid lane, depende kung ano yung mid lane dito for King. Pero with the Renekton and banning away the Darius, this makes him very self-sufficient, which means they can pivot all of their resources onto the bottom half of the map or the Dragon Lane side of the map. Pantheon being banned away, wala tayong makitang global for today. So, or for this match at least. So Diana being banned out as well against Minlen.
And if ever it's gonna be a Renekton Riven matchup, it's just gonna be a stable one. Renekton even has that slight edge because of the sustain he has, but having taken away the Darius, there's not much of options here on the side of PNU. Well, they haven't taken their mid laner just yet. So, what are the possible picks? Can they still go with the Oriana? I mean, it did have an okay performance during game number 1, but I'm still hesitant
Feel
on
ko
it. And
Ari para dito kay Milin. But Kennen here probably for King. And this is gonna prevent a lot of the all-in. No? Slicing Maelstrom, papasok yung Leona at yung Riven. Baka sumama pa yung Kaisa with the Killer Instinct. No? So I like the pick. It's a very big power move here in the first pick of the second phase of pick and ban.
yeah, and knowing that they do also have that
Yun na
Rakan,
Ari.
so much initiation can be made here by WVSU. And just like what you said, Ari being a more stable champion to actually use in the mid lane, PNU are gonna pick it up. What will be their last pick? Will the Riven actually stay in the go to the jungle or the
Malphite.
Baron lane instead?
Talagang
Malphite
all-in si na kuya. Ani
Oo.
Wukong. Pwede rin
Oo,
naman.
oo.
Okay, so it's gonna be Riven Baron lane most likely with Wukong going into the jungle. This is in Blasphemy's champion pool. Meanwhile, Riven, of course, played by Rain as well. So, ramdam na natin na nung nakita natin yung Leona, Kaisa, tsaka Riven, na most likely Ari yung kasama dito, or Fizz, which is less likely. Medyo si Fizz ngayon compared to Ari. And the Wukong is, of course, is another natural addition, as well as the Malphite could have been possible, but I guess they preferred the Riven versus Renekton matchup to the Malphite versus Renekton matchup, which is understandable.
Look at WVSU going ham on aggression, picking up the Kazakhs here for Joe. He definitely wants to make those isolated kills, especially that there's not really a tank on the side of PNU aside from the Leona. So that provides a lot of opportunities here for WVSU to in terms of options on how they're gonna be approaching PNU, because they have engaged, they have late game scaling, they have decent crowd control, they have a good sustain as well from the Renekton, and whenever someone gets isolated, either during a team fight or just in the laning phase, Joe is gonna be ready to hunt them down, especially with how much damage Kazakhs can deal onto isolated targets. But PNU, I think just gonna be sticking with standard stuff. Allow them to actually, I mean, look for picks as well, especially because of the Ari pick. And for objective takes, maybe they have this slight edge because of the Leona pick and the Wukong. The amount of crowd control is immense on their side.
Once again, they have a lot of ways to disengage, right? You look at this comp from a Leviathan, so you don't really see, okay, they're gonna have a little bit of trouble counter engaging, but they have the slicing maelstrom, they have the, of course, combined with a rocket jump, yung buster shot. Lalayo agad yan, yung lahat na engage dito. Kasi kung lalo na kung dikit-dikit sila, the buster shot will just blow all of them away, give them a little bit of breathing room as well. Baka hindi kailangan yung rocket jump. Yun yung sasabihin nila. And of course, wow, hindi sila naka-esports pose. Napaka ready yung mga players natin dito for our quarterfinals. And here, PNU Sulo 0-1 against WVSU Leviathans in this best of 3. Can they recover, or will the torch finally be snuffed out in this Division A quarters? We shall see. As PNU, they go for an aggressive play, pushing Joe out of his jungle, forcing him to delay his clear by around 15 seconds. Very good power move here from the Sula squad.
And I like that they're making these kinds of risky decision makings. You know, taking risk can actually hurt you more than you're supposed to. But in this scenario, they made it work. So now, without a red buff here for Joe, he's gonna struggle a little bit. And since he doesn't know that there was actually an invade, even losing that Raptor camp will allow PNU to have this solid early game.
Yeah, na-push out siya dun eh. And the feeling ko hindi... pati yung Krugs!
Grabe.
Gahaman tong si
Gahaman?
Mr. Blasphemy.
Lahat na kinuha mo,
Lahat
Lodi.
na. Pero Joe, yeah, he's delayed by 15 seconds. He only has 1 buff right now. Meanwhile, Blasphemy already got 3. He's forced to go for a vertical jungle here, but of course, he's gonna be way behind. Pwede nga siyang pagtripan dito ni Milen, pero nape-pressure siya medyo ni King dito. But for the most part, he's gonna have to delay his Scuttle Crab, delay the rest of his clear here. Meanwhile, Blasphemy is gonna be ahead in terms of the levels. Level 43, kaka-level. Hindi pa nga aabot ng level 4 dito si Joe until after the Scuttle Crab. So, very good tempo swing here for PNU early. Let's see kung mararide nila yung momentum na to later in the few minutes in the game.
Yeah, Blasphemy should have that early game advantage unless he gets invaded here by Joe, which is he is on the way.
Gumugusto si Joe, isolated target siya dito. Iniiwasan lang niya yung T-burst dito para hindi siya ma-stun. Okay, he cuts his losses. He decides, okay, I can't go for revenge here. Kasi kahit may priority yung lanes ko, makaka-respond yung PNU Sulu dito. So he just backs off.
But because of that, not only does he lose some of the time in the jungle, he's gonna lose a lot of XP and the gold as well because, well, if we recall, his whole red side jungle was taken here by Blasphemy. So at most, he only secured 4 camps. And that's hard.
Naghahanap siya ng bawi dito laban kay Milen, pero may Spirit Rush na yung Ari, so it's gonna be very hard for him to get the jump on that. Kahit mag-slicing Milson pa dito si King, mahihirapan silang kumuha ng kills. So I think for now, what Joe is doing, medyo taxation sensation dito sa mid lane para ma-match yung ano. Kasi if you look at Kennen, hindi naman impressive yung wave clear niya compared sa Ari. So here, this is gonna give him a decent back timer na even yung waves. Plus, Joe gets a couple of XP and gold back for himself. So, all's well that ends well for WVSU, and they won't be in a new hell coming into the next few minutes.
Yeah, actually, at most, King is actually doing a good job surviving in the mid lane, or like just evening out the wave, because Milen has the tools to actually try and kill this cannon, especially with the Spirit Rush and the Charm, and how much Blasphemy is ahead against Joe. They can actually open up the map, especially that 20 seconds later, objectives are gonna spawn, Rift Herald and Mountain Dragon, and I think PNU should have the better hand in this.
Though medyo nag-even out na rin. Kasi if you see na, okay, Blasphemy gets what, 6 camps? Buong topside jungle nakuha niya. Meanwhile, si Joe now only got 4 camps. Pero walang ibang nangyari sa jungle eh. So it eventually evens out. Plus yung tax na ginawa ni Joe sa mid lane na 2-in-1. He gives King a good back timer. Tapos meron siya makukuha ng konting XP and gold. This is actually gonna make it very even na kaya nilang mag-trade ng objectives dito. Pero kaya solohin ng Kha'Zix ang Dragon dito. Meanwhile, Slice Blessing into the Baron Pit. Ay, napakasakit ang nangyayari dito against PNU Sulu. Blasphemy gonna try and live for a little bit longer. It's going to be Miracle trying to survive with his Dominus. But here comes the cavalry. It has arrived. And immediately kinain dito ang Kennen, and that's gonna be Joe rushing in as well, looking for more targets, taking refuge under the tower. Tello goes in, lots of damage from the Ignatian Rain, and the Grand Entrance hits nothing, but it's going to end up as a clean 2-2 with the Rift Herald, I think. Let's confirm. Ang Rift Herald dito ay nakuha ng PNU Sulu. Meanwhile, Mountain Drake ang nakuha dito. Let's break down this replay.
Yeah, I think the Rift Herald was taken here by Blasphemy because of the smite that he is actually being able to take that objective. But I want to commend PNU, particularly Z-Mice, because he stuck around the Wukong to prevent that isolation damage from King. So that disastrous start turned out to be an equal trade by both teams, and it's actually helped out PNU so much. And WVSU, they're gonna be eyeing on more engages like that, because that was a big chance already for them. Having PNU or three members of them group up and that slicing Maelstrom dealing a lot of damage. What more if King has already 2 or 3 items?
Yeah, but I like how WVSU has been staying efficient, right? They know, of course, kayang isolo ni Joe yung Mountain Drake. And they know that, okay, maybe we can go for a Slicing Maelstrom 3v4, right? 3v4 and hope that we survive long enough that Ed and Tello can come in for and make it a 4v4 or a 5v4. So at the end, it actually ends up completely even. Charm comes through. Miracle is not going to be able to get that. A Grand Entrance is going to hit on to Blasphemy. Blasphemy does finish off the Crocodile, though. And now Ed is on the run. And now they're going to be diving on to Joe. Charm comes to Rocket Jump over. But it's not going to be mounting too much. No resets will happen for this Tristana. PNU Sula pivots into a 3k gold lead early, and they're going for mid lane. They might go for first turret plus those plates.
Yeah, I mean, that gank, that bait coming in from Miracle turned out to be disaster for WVSU. Why? Because of the chain CC from Flaco. That didn't allow them to actually use much of their skills, and even though Tello was there, it was already too late. They're gonna take 2 hours in total to up their gold lead from 1,000 to 4,000. That is how much.
No Lord of the Rings ang PNU Sulo. 2 towers ang kinuha. But of course here, this is a good spot for this comp, right? This is one of those comps that I would also say na 5k gold lead yung bare minimum kasi may Leon at saka Riven sila. But the way that PNU has been playing is actually they're not satisfied with this 5k. They want to keep it growing. Meanwhile, the WVSU medyo nag-falter sila. They try to go for revenge kills with Miracle, but Miracle has been kind of missing the mark with his Ruthless Predators here, and they're gonna try and duel with a Wukong. Joe naghihintay lang sa tabi, but I think may naaamoy na dito si Joe eh. Parang ayaw na niya dito eh.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. But this could end up as a 3v4, which is something that the WVSU does not want, especially with the gold lead. But mga magagang dito sa King, nahanap siya. He caught him slipping. Proto Belt away. Flash pa para ma-dodge ang Solar Flare tsaka yung Wind Slash. And that is gonna be WVSU escaping with a sliver of HP here, but they're gonna go for a full dive onto Joe and Miracle. The Crocodile is gonna get caught. Gagawin ng lakos yan. That is going to be a kill, and they have isolated the turret here, so this should be 1 kill plus turret for PNU Sulo. Meanwhile, Milen, he is keeping the fort high and dry here in the mid lane, not letting the push happen for Tello. So right now, 6k gold lead with the map fully opened up for themselves. PNU in a very, very good spot. Ocean Drake coming up as well. They might give the initiative to WVSU, but I think they're fully satisfied with this.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless mukhang papasok sila dito.
Nako, mukhang susubukan nga nila. I mean, they do have the advantage. Can they actually pull this off?
Yeah, dude, that's a 3-man knockup coming in for WVSU, but the Drake has been stolen here. Mapupush away si Flaco with the buster shot. Tilo playing keep away here, able to kite back. So that is just going to be a Drake stolen and 1 kill for PNU. Kaya pa nila dito mag-pivot. Blasphemy very, very low and Flaco very low as well, but they can push back in this mid lane. Recall for Flaco and of course Blasphemy here para in time sila for this Rift Herald. WVSU coming in. Gumugusto siya dito kay Milen. Isolated damage, pero buti hindi siya na-charm doon kasi napaka-dangerous nun. So King here, medyo naglalakad pa siya dito. So this is a chance for PNU. They should pull the trigger now habang wala pa dito sa King. And it seems like that's what they're gonna here. Isolate
oh no.
There here, but it's gonna be a lot. Okay, they go to the backline here. They reformed their formation here. WVSU, they found their formation. They regroup. Medyo malaki yung damage dito kay King, but from the side here, Milen, if they can catch Milen here, but no, Rain comes in, does get the kill onto the cannon, but he gets revenge killed immediately by Tello, who goes on a killing spree. A little bit of payback here for WVSU, but PNU still liking what they see. They got their Rift Herald, they got a couple kills. They might lose a turret, but in comes a good Grand Entrance coming in from Ed to finish the kill for his buddy Joe. And Joe flashes in. He caught him slipping. Medyo nag-out of bounds si Zemes there, trying to get some extra damage, but now WVSU There's lots of kills onto Joe, which is good, and turret gold for the Leviathans means that they close the gold gap little by little.
Yeah, I was about to say a while ago that WVSU's opportunity to turn the game around is slowly slipping through their hands, but after what happened, we saw them gripping harder than usual, and because of the kills that Joe got, the fight heavily turned in their favor. Miracle surviving with a sliver of health, and them securing the Rift Herald, which transitioned into a tower in the mid lane. Maybe the game's not over. PNU's lead is slowly diminishing. A while ago, it was reaching 7k, but now it trimmed down to just 4,000 gold lead, and the amount of damage that this Tristana can do is pretty significant.
Uh-oh.
Static shift, and now a camera.
Can he get out of this situation? Can at least trade one kill? He's looking for Tello, but he's gonna get executed here.
Ooh.
And this is gonna end up as a 4v3 if they decide to protect this, so they might have to give this tower up. They still have the solar flare, they still have the killer instinct. Milen's coming in looking for a charm, and they've cleared the wave, so WVSU just backing off. Another kill here. 3k na ang gold lead dito ng PNU, so lumiliit na lumiliit. Meanwhile, WVSU, their Tristana is scaling up. But I think right now it's in one of those weak spots that Zemes has to go for the fork first, has to go pay the tax to evolve his Q. So siguro pag meron na siyang next BF sword item, i.e. siguro, then he should be fine.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm looking at the gold here. The difference between ZMAs and Tello. This is looking scary for PNU. I mean, we saw the damage coming in from this Tristana, the amount of burst that this team lineup can actually do with the slicing maelstrom, with Miracle being the front line, with Tello with the AoE damage because of that explosive charge, plus Joe lurking from behind. This is looking scary for PNU. If ever there's gonna be a team fight breaking out on the next objectives, which is 23 seconds on the Cloud Dragon and possibly another 40 for the Baron, they have to play this perfectly, or else WVSU are gonna melt them.
Oh, Milen. Oh, mali ang basa niya sa charm doon, but in comes Ed. Will he try and go for it? Nope. It seems like they're gonna be backing off from now. WVSU, they have opportunities, but they can't squander them. They can't just go in willy-nilly with Slicing Maelstrom and Grand Entrance quickness, no? They have to make sure that PNU commits a mistake, because right now, even with this lead, PNU is the one pressured to actually make something happen. So here, Cloud Drake gonna get taken. They're willing to give that away. Cloud Drake, not really their ideal Drake here, but they are gonna get Joe. Oh, can they pick it up? Yes, kahit mag-flash pa siya
That's
doon.
huge!
Oh, that's huge. That's pretty big. They do get the turret back topside here, but this might give them the opportunity to go for Baron. Meanwhile, Ed and Tello on the run. Looks like they will be safe. Okay, the Baron will not be the call just yet. The death timer is too short, and they're not really in a position to go for that call.
Yeah, Blasphemy is in the bottom lane. That's one of the reasons that they didn't start it just yet. They're waiting for their jungler. But only 10 seconds remaining before Joe actually spawns back up. And the WVSU, they still does have this advantage wherein they can go in with
a lot of damage though.
They
but
are.
in comes the Fleet over the wall here, pero makakapag Cyclone dito onto Tello, keeping him away from the rest of the fight. Slicing Maelstrom to buy his team a little bit of time, but Joe comes in from downtown. In comes Miracle from the river, able to go for the death roll. That is going to be 2 for 2 so far, but in comes Ed to give up his life. The killer instinct will not save him as Joe picks up a kill. Isolated target now. Blasphemy on the run. Joe. No slow coming in from VW, but here comes Miracle trying to save his buddy Rain. Getting some doppelgangers right out there. Miracle next, trying to go for the kill here. Medyo nagkasalisihan sila doon. Blasphemy going for it. Meanwhile, opportunistic jump in from the Monkey King. And that is going to be Rain trying to jump away, but Ruthless Predator coming in from the slice and dice. One more attack. Yes, it's going to be enough. Yes, Joe comes in for the smite, resets with the wings. And it... That's miraculous. Blasphemy actually survives all of that, but the gold lead has pretty much been evened out by WVSU with Leviathans.
Yeah, things turn out differently in this team fight, especially after that teleport coming in from Joe. He was mad at everybody that killed him. He wants to get the revenge, and those multi-kills coming in from WVSU allowed them to actually close the gold gap. And now, as things are kind of even, despite, you know, the heroic play coming in from Rain to try and save Blasphemy. Things are looking dim for PNU because
Alam mo yung
WVSU.
importante dun eh.
Oh,
Yeah.
pwede nila
Oh.
take na ngayon ng Baron.
Oh. And kanina talaga crucial doon at si Telo nakapag-rocket jump bago nag-land yung Solar Flare. Tsaka yung King, yung delaying tactics yun sa Slicing Maelstrom niya. Those are two very big decisions, split-second decisions that let WVSU close the gold gap. And now actually, with the amount of gold that they have, but most of it is concentrated on where it's important, right? It's on Joe and it's on Telo. So all of that gold actually has a lot more value in these two than all of the gold that most of the gold that PNU has in their members, because all of it is riding on Blasphemy right now and a little bit on C-Mate. So they're actually finishing this very, very fast. Napakabilis ang pag-take ng Baron dito. PNU Sulo cannot even respond to it in time. And King actually playing keep away around behind the blue buff means that they take this uncontested very, very fast.
And they should be able to translate this into some tower pushes from all
Very
three
infernal,
lanes.
man.
PNU, they had a good early game, but things are looking so bad for them in this late game. WVSU holding on for dear life even after that 7,000 gold deficit. Now things are looking good in their favor, especially with the amount of damage that they can deal. And looking at the timer for the Elder Dragon, you know, having it as Infernal, WVSU are setting their eyes on this for sure.
Medyo mainit. Ito yung chance ng PNU Sulo na yung Infernal Drake na to. This is your chance to reignite the torch. But here, WVSU, they're looking to devour this Drake as well. Merong magandang wave yung PNU Sulo sa Dragon Lane side. So they have pressure mounting there.
Yep.
But WVSU is not letting the pressure be taken in mid or Dragon Lane. So here, they're already going for it. Isolated damage is very high. Ed looking for it. Mid, catch out siya dito. But of course, man, Ed was out. But this is the chance to pull the trigger. Joe, can they kill him in time? No, Flacco might go down before anything else. In comes Rain from downtown. The Slicing Maelstrom stops his advance. That is going to be Blasphemy trying to make something happen with Slash.
Also
Good
low.
charm there from Milen. But in comes the Grand Entrance to finish off the kill here against Flacco. And in comes Joe from downtown. Flashes over to flex on him with Stasis. Not going to save
That's
him.
the ace!
As that's WVSU with the ace. Tatapusin pa nga nila ang Drake dito for a 4K gold lead. They have waves mounting. I don't think they can finish the game, but they can definitely take some inhibitor turrets. Wait, 30 seconds actually.
Yeah,
might be
that's the
enough for
game!
Baron. That's actually the game right there. Pero nag-chill pa dun si Telo dun sa bot lane, but now he's gonna jump over, and that's actually gonna be the game right there. Nexus exposed, 20-second death timers. WVSU steals away the win from PNU Sulo 2-0. Oh my god, nagparada pa sila, kuya. Oh my god. 2-0 for the Leviathan. Snuffs out the torch against PNU Sulo. Like I said, 5K yung bare minimum ng comp na ganyan na Kaisa, Leona, tsaka Ari, di ba? Hindi
Yep.
nila na follow through hanggang 10K. So
And
there, Leviathan stabilized.
And I like how they didn't give up given the state that they had a while ago. 7,000 gold lead can be a bit of a nuisance for some teams, but not WVSU. They still look to find more opportunities to come back in this game, and when they did, they didn't hold back. They went for those kills, they went for the objective takes, and when they found the opportunity to bait out PNU in this Infernal Elder Dragon, they got the ace. And this is a fantastic series for them for sure. 2-0 in this best of 3.
And I really like how the VVSU, they knew, once again, this is a showing of how the Leviathans know the power of their champions. Kailan sila malakas, kailan sila mahina. They got 6K gold behind, so they stopped going for team fights with the Renekton, right? Because at that point, Renekton is mostly useful for soaking damage and for Ruthless Predator to get the stuns. So instead, they started going for pickoffs. They started going for pickoffs na makakuha ng gold dun si Telo tsaka si Joe. And very nice. Eventually, they got to their win condition, which is makapag-scale up yung Tristana. And at that point, that's all she wrote. PNU Sulo is fighting an uphill battle after that.
I mean, even a while ago when PNU had some gold lead, we saw the gold difference from Tello and Zia Maze. And at that point, I was kind of worried for PNU because despite the 5,000 gold lead, we saw a 2,000 gold lead between those ADCs. And that's kind of scary for me. And when WVSU actually found their opportunity to use all the amount of firepower that they had, especially with the AoE damage that they do have with the Kennen, with the Renekton, with the Tristana going in, not scared at all. Plus Joe, who has been constantly looking for those picks, especially when there was a fight wherein he was killed before that Baron take, and when he came up, he teleported to just kill 2 people.
Yeah. And I think that's the power. So right now, WVSU is going to be moving on to the semis against How Valiant Esports. Pero meron pa tayong isang quarterfinals to decide who's going to face off against POP Pylon Cerberus. It's going to be FIT Tech Mayhem versus TOP Gearhawks. That's going to be after a very short break. We have been your shoutcasters. I'm Hyron. With me is Beyond Gaming. Let's thank our sponsors for a little bit. UAC 2021 will not be possible without Globe Telecom, Twitch Student, and of course Logitech G. Check them out at logitech.acadarena.com now. And we'll be seeing you after a very, very short break for our next quarterfinals. Don't go away, guys.
Many years ago, higit pa sa fishballs ang binigay niya sa akin. He taught me na walang di natutupad na pangarap sa taong handang magsumikap.
Dami niya na.
Panghapunan.
Pantoga.
Atin ang pangarap. Atin ang pagsisikap. Atin ang mundo. Globe.